What up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel, J-Dubs Cars and Stuff. And today I've got one of my best friends with me, Ryan. You probably haven't seen this in a while because this used to be the setup for our old vape channel, In Between Two Beards.
And we were switched though.
Yeah, we were switched. Anyway, so I got such a good response on the Indian video between the review I did of my opinion between the Indian Challenger and the Harley Road Glide that I wanted to do another one with Ryan because he rode the Street Glide, and we're going to kind of compare that to the Chieftain, and maybe there are a few other things I might have left out that I didn't think of at the time when I made the video, but I figured, hey, what the hell, let's talk about it. So if you haven't seen the other video, I'll link it in the description so you can check it out, but basically the long and the short of it is we both I had a Kawasaki Vulcan 900 Classic, Ryan's got a 900 Custom, and basically they're great bikes, wonderful bikes. Unfortunately, we did a tour up to Toledo, and I'm not gonna lie, it was really starting to tax my body a little bit on the way back.
You start feeling the lack of that sixth gear.
Yeah,
at
like
65 miles an
highway
hour.
speeds and stuff. So, in my opinion, I knew a long time ago when I sold my 900 that I wanted a bigger bike. So, you know, we've been looking at the Indians, and I really didn't know much about them. Didn't have much love for Indian, but you know, Ryan's like, hey man, they're beautiful. Let's go look at them. So we did, and we ended up doing an Indian demo day down there at Huntington, West Virginia.
If you haven't done one of those, even if you don't like Indian motorcycles, go do it.
Right.
That was the most fun afternoon I've had in a long time.
It's a lot of fun, and it really does give you a real good idea. Like if you like Indian style bikes, like just all their different types of bikes.
It was so easy too. You literally just walk up. Like when we first got there, there was only like 8 people there, and they had 10 bikes. So literally just whatever bike you want to ride, you just jumped on it and rode. And then as the day went on, more people showed up. You just signed your name next to the bike you wanted to ride on the little sign-in sheet, and as soon as you came back,
they just went down the list.
And there was no limit. We each rode the bike we wanted to ride, what, 3 times?
Yeah, I rode the Challenger, I think 4, because I rode the Limited and the Dark Horse.
I mean, we could have rode them more.
Yeah.
But we ended up leaving because it's like, you know, when you go to Cedar Point and you ride everything, it's like, let's just go home. I don't care if it's 3 o'clock. But, yeah, no, that was a good time. Check one of those out. I still kind of want to do a Harley Davidson demo day.
I would do it. I would do a Harley demo day just to say why not. I mean, just to do. I'll ride anything.
Spend a little bit more time.
Yeah, spend more time with it. Check out some of the other models. Even though I know I want a bagger for my next bike, I'm not against. I'll ride anything. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I think we've already talked about it. We're gonna probably have at least 3 or 4 of these demo days under our belts next year when the weather starts warming back up.
I want to go to one of the big ones when they have like 24 bikes with them instead of 10.
Yeah, because the only bikes they didn't have was
they didn't have
the
Springfield, which I wanted to ride the
Springfield.
Springfield so bad, but they didn't have one of those.
Yeah. So, but anyway, we did that, and we basically fell in love with the. I fell in love with the Challenger. He fell in love with the Chieftain.
I had zero interest in a fairing bike. I was looking at the Springfield, which is basically the Road King equivalent. You know, it's the bagger with no fairing on it. And honestly, he's like, dude, it's gonna change your mind, change your life when you ride a bike with a fairing. I was like, no, you're crazy. I don't want a bike with a fairing. It was like, nope. I got on the Chieftain. It was like, this is the bike for me. Period. Like, I fit so perfectly on this bike. I felt like I went to Indian and designed a bike, and that's what came out. It was just set up so well.
To preface this, Ryan's tall. I'm 5'9". Ryan,
I'm 6'2".
Yeah,
so 6'2".
He's a little taller. So you know, the way he likes the mid-rise bars and stuff. That doesn't work for me. But I'm only 5'9". So anyway, we were pretty confident in these bikes, and then, like I said, he basically texted me and said, "Hey, I want to ride a Street Glide."
I was bored one night, and I went on 80 Pharaoh's website. Anybody in the Central Ohio or surrounding areas, if you want to go look at Harley Davidson, go to Pharaoh. Like, I don't know those people. I've been there twice, but we walked in to Pharaoh North up off of 36 and Sunbury.
Yeah,
and they treated us like we were family. Yeah. Like, the first words out of their mouth, they're like, hey, have you been helped? And we told them why we were there. And we basically both told them, like, look, we're sold on Indians. We're dead set on buying an Indian. But we thought we would be cheating ourselves if we didn't at least give Indian or Harley Davidson a fair shake. And they were like, awesome, let's get you guys on a couple bikes. What are you looking at?
Oh, and that was the cool thing about it, I think, was the fact that, because I never really looked at Harley. Because once again, I'm going to preface this video like I did the last one. We are not anti-Harley. No. They are beautiful bikes.
Gorgeous.
They're awesome. but I've never really given Harley a real second look, only because I was always like, oh, that's about my price range. But after we rode these Indians, it's like, well,
they're the same price
they're
as the
basically
Harleys.
they're
So,
pretty
yeah.
close to the same price. So why wouldn't you look at Harley? So we decided to go and look, and like you said, they were awesome, and I was blown away that the salesman, like the first thing he's like, I think the best way to do this is get you guys on a couple
Yeah,
of miles.
I'll give them credit. Their customer service, just as far as a dealership experience, has been better than any
Right.
of the
I mean,
Indian.
considering the fact that they're low on inventory,
Yeah.
and they didn't just pull out a couple of crappy like used bikes.
No.
No, brand
They
new
put me
2021
on a
bikes.
2021 Street Glide that hadn't even been checked in yet. They had just pulled it off the truck the day before and put it together.
Yeah.
And he was like, I have a brand new Street Glide.
Yeah.
If I can get it out of the shop, I'll put you on it. And we went back and looked at it, and he's like, all right, let's go. And we went on a test drive.
The only thing that you were hoping it was a special that had
It
blacked
was,
out.
It was a special, but it was apparently this year they have a special that's chromed and a special that's all black,
Right.
which doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But
Both of them
whatever.
had the Milwaukee 114.
107.
Were they?
I believe the bike I rode had a
Mine
107
had
in it.
114 in it.
Yours did. Yours
Yeah.
the Road Glide comes with a bigger. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was a 107. It might have been a 111.
Maybe.
I don't know. I'm not a Harley guy. But no. As far as like the Street Glide versus the Chieftain goes, for me, the first thing I noticed as soon as I sat on the Street Glide was how cramped I felt. The Challenger, or I'm sorry, the Chieftain, the floor controls are set, I would say, 6 inches farther forward than the Harley Davidsons are. So if you're a taller guy, you got long legs like I do.
See, I wonder if it's forward controls or if it's just the way they position the floorboards.
Could be the way the floorboards are, could be the seat. Irregardless, I felt like on the Chieftain, like I was relaxed. Like I was comfortable, I was relaxed, I'm just having a fun time. On the Street Glide, I felt like I was riding, a bicycle. Like I was just completely straight up and down. Like the floor controls were in front of me, but my knees stuck up like 5 inches above the gas tank.
Like here's the gas tank, and here is like his kneecap, like right here.
Especially when I would go to use the rear brake with my right foot, I had to bring my foot off the floorboard, and it pulled my knee this high off of the gas tank to get to the pedal.
Right.
And when we got back, the salesman asked us, he's like, what'd you guys think? And I told him that, I was like, I'll be 100% honest with you, I don't fit very well on that bike. And I mean, it's an 800-pound bike. It's a huge bike.
Right.
And he's like, well, we've got extended forward controls and the tall boy seat and different handlebars and stuff. And it's like, yeah, that's awesome. It's also a lot of money.
Well, and that was my argument, because even on the Road Glide, like I fit on the Road Glide okay, but even I felt a little bit more scrunched on the Road Glide than I was on the Challenger. But I think the other thing was, and I could be misled here or whatever, but it's like, look, okay, so once again, we know you can do anything you want to a Harley. You can build a Harley from the ground up exactly what you want. But I think that the frames of those bikes are a smidge shorter, overall, and I think that's just the way the pegs or the floorboards are, that it just makes it feel smaller. But I definitely felt more crunched, and I don't know about you, but I felt like I was sitting on top of the Road Glide, whereas with the Challenger, I felt like I was sitting into the bike.
One thing that I noticed as soon as I sat on the Harley and pulled it off the kickstand is the center of gravity between the two bikes is very, very different. I felt all 800 pounds of the Harley Davidson,
right?
Especially when we started moving, slow maneuvering and stuff. It's like, and I'm not a super experienced motorcycle rider. I got my license 2 months ago, and I bought my bike back in May. That's it. Like this, I mean, I had some experience a long time ago,
right?
But I hadn't really ridden a bike since like 2008. So the fact that I got to ride a brand new Harley Davidson,
bro, yeah,
was
cool. that was the cool thing.
But and I'm sure a lot of guys with a lot of experience are like, oh, you're just an idiot. You just got to learn how to do it. And it's like, that's fine. But the Indian was effortless. Like you said, I felt like I was sitting into the Indian and I was sitting on top of the Harley Davidson. And this is not a just let's get together and bash on Harley video at all. That Street Glide was gorgeous. It's this gray color. I don't remember what they called the color.
It was like a tungsten or something.
But in the sun, it's got this like dark burnt bronzy color to it, and it's just absolutely breathtakingly beautiful. And I love the way the bike looked. But I didn't feel it. Like I didn't feel comfortable. The Indian center of gravity feels much lower, and as soon as your feet come off the ground,
The weight
disappears.
Yeah,
on
it's
the
gone.
Indian. Like I said, at high speeds, the Harley Davidson rode fine.
Yeah.
There was no issues going around corners or anything like that. It was just like in the parking lot, like 10 miles an hour and under. You could feel
I definitely,
all of the weight.
and I made that point with the Road Glide. I definitely felt the weight more on the Road Glide than I did on the Challenger. Like I said, especially at low speed maneuvers.
Yeah.
I've heard some guys say that the Harleys handle better at slow speeds, and I don't know what they're talking about. I'm sorry.
Disagree
I think
strongly.
I think they're nuts.
If you say that, then I question if you've ever ridden an Indian. Just I was a little bit nervous because I've got several people that I know that own older Harley Davidsons, like early 2000s, and just watching them sitting still, idling, and it just looks like the motor's not mounted to anything, vibrating. I was worried about that. I really was, because the Indian is glassy smooth.
Yeah.
That Milwaukee 8 is very smooth.
It is. The salesman's like, "Oh yeah, there's not much vibration." Like, no, there's vibration.
There's vibration there, but
especially on the downshifting.
If you're using engine braking, if you're using less of your brakes and using the motor to slow you down, like when you downshift and you feel the RPMs come up, that's when you really start feeling it vibrate in the handlebars. And it's like, okay, I mean, it's not as bad as I expected. It's not a '80s Harley Davidson,
right? Yeah,
shaking
no,
to
where
death.
it's literally a rock off the frame there,
But it was noticeable.
More noticeable than the Indian.
Yeah, the two Indian Chieftains I've ridden a Dark Horse now, and I've ridden a limited one. The limited one was a 2019. It was used. It had miles on it and stuff, but neither of them vibrated at all.
No.
Like
at any speed,
they vibrate less than this Kawasaki does, and this Kawasaki doesn't vibrate until you get to 80 miles an hour.
Right. I mean, yeah, no. 80 on the Indians and even on the Harleys. Just
okay, so that's a good way. The throttle response on the Harley Davidson, hands down,
better,
destroys the Indian.
Better. Just
there's no way around that.
I don't know what Harley did different with their fly-by-wire setup, but
perfect.
It is right there, perfect. At no point, if you told me like, okay, $100 right now, is that fly-by-wire or is that cable? Without actually looking it up first, I would have said that was cable.
I would have bet money that was a cable throttle.
Like it was just. No learning curve. Now the Indians, they have a learning curve, but
you get used to it in 5 minutes.
You do. You get used to it.
It's more noticeable at low speeds.
Right. At high speeds,
once you get going, it's not an issue.
And I think sport mode is another thing. Like as long as I keep the bike in sport mode, and but I got used to it really quick.
The Harley Davidson's was perfect no matter what.
Yeah, like the throttle response on the Harley was just top notch.
I think the clutch on both bikes is comparable. Both clutches are great.
Yeah,
both transmissions seem great.
Yeah, they're beautiful. Both transmissions were beautiful.
Very
just
positive.
Nice, clean clunks all the way through every gear.
Very, very positive shifting all the way through.
I've said this, not that it bothers you, but I want a heel toe shifter.
I could care less about that.
Like I said, he just hasn't used a heel toe shifter yet.
Got big feet. It don't apply. It doesn't appeal to me.
Well, that's another thing. The floorboards on the Indian.
Floorboards on the Indian have a lot more room on them.
Yeah.
Like I could feel when I was riding at speed and could just kind of relax a little bit. I could kind of put my heels out on the edge of those floorboards and I'm stretched out and comfortable. On the Harley, I didn't have any room to move my feet at all. It's like I understand why every Harley owner has highway bars and pegs.
Right.
You'd have to.
Oh, yeah.
I would have to.
Yeah. I did like that the Harleys came with the crash bars.
Yeah.
Right out the get-go.
Well, the Chieftain does. The Indian Chieftain comes with crash bars, I believe, and the Challenger doesn't. The Dark Horse edition.
Well, that's what I mean.
I think.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
The Challenger Limited comes with the chrome crash bars.
Okay.
But the Dark Horse, now they're available. You can get the black crash bars. They just don't come on it from factory, which, okay. But still, the Harley did come with those from factory, so I'm going to give credit where credit's due.
Like I said, I definitely understand why everybody puts highway pegs on those things, because I would have to have them. Like, I was so cramped.
I've heard a lot of guys in reviews talk about the ABS on the Harley being just a lot better but I don't think we pushed the bikes to the limit to where we had to.
We didn't get a chance to ride the Harleys.
I don't think we rode them that hard.
The difference in the test rides, when we went to the demo day, they said, okay, here's the route to take, go have fun. and we just went and did our thing. The Harley Davidson test drive, the
followed a
salesman went with us,
which is fine.
It was great, and it was a nice test drive. Route.
Yeah.
But we didn't get to like open the bikes.
We didn't even get it on the highway.
We didn't get to get them on the highway. I thought the braking on both bikes was beautiful.
Yeah, I still say I think the braking on the Challenger was just a little bit better, at least on the front.
Okay.
Now that could have something to do with the ABS system. I don't know,
yeah.
but neither the Harley nor the Indian worried me on braking.
No. Neither bike lacks anything for power.
No, but I will say this. Now I have not ridden a Chieftain, but I will tell you this. I didn't put as much emphasis on it. I thought it was just a kind of a given that everybody knew. But the Challenger is quite a bit faster than the Road Glide.
Okay.
But having said that,
we didn't get those Harleys into sport mode.
Well, I don't think they have a sport mode.
I think they do.
They might
not.
But here's the thing, though. I'm not looking for a bagger to have cross rocket speed.
No.
But the fact that these bikes are as powerful as they are, whether it's the Harley or the Indians, blew me away. Because
they're both.
It's not a power that I feel like I'm going to outgrow anytime soon. It's got as much or as little power as I need.
That Indian, I looked down on the interstate and was doing 85, 90, and it felt like I was doing 55 or 60, and was like, oh, I should back that off.
I honestly never thought I'd be on a motorcycle like outside of the crotch rocket arena. That it was hard to keep the bike under 90.
Right.
Because it was just that glass.
Under 80, certainly. But it's like you felt like you're doing 55 on a country road.
Like I'm following him, and by the time I'm getting up to speed on the on-ramp, he's already half a mile down the road. And I'm like, dude, okay.
Like, sorry, bro.
And I catch up like that, but I definitely noticed.
I'm used to this 900 that has no power at all, and it's fun. I love this bike, but when you get it up to 65 or 70, you feel like you're doing 65 or 70 because the handlebars start going crazy. But that bike was just so buttery smooth. And now there is a huge difference, though, on the Chieftains. You have to have it in sport mode for the throttle response.
Right.
In regular, I didn't even bother putting it in touring mode, but in standard mode, the throttle was a dog. It was an absolute dog. Throw it over into sport mode, and the thing just came to life.
Right.
Again, that Harley Davidson lacked for nothing. It wanted nothing for power. It would get out of its way. No problem.
Yeah. As much power as I would ever need or want.
Absolutely.
And I mean, let's face it, Harley is one of those brands where there's enough aftermarket support to where if you want to beef this up with another 25, 30 horsepower, they got big bore kits and all that stuff. But the fact that the Challenger comes like that from the factory, pretty impressive.
Now, granted, the first Challenger I rode, the first Chieftain I rode down at the demo ride had a Stage 2 performance kit on it. So I can't really speak to performance versus the Harley because that bike had $5,000 in upgrades.
But the used one was stock.
The used one was stock.
It had an exhaust on it.
It had an exhaust, but otherwise it was stock, and that one still had plenty of power.
Like I said, I never, at no point on either test ride was I thinking, man, I wish I had more power. Like I mean, it was already there. I was good with it.
I really wanted to get off of that Street Glide and have like a deep internal conflict. Like, crap, now I got a decision to make, but honestly, and we told the sales guy, he asked us, what'd you think, versus the Indian. It was like, I'm sorry, man, I've got to go with the Indian. It's more comfortable. The throttle on the Harley Davidson is the only thing that's like, oh man, that throttle was nice.
The throttle was nice.
Everything else about the Indian I like better. And this might be petty, but where they put the mirrors on the Street Glide bugged the crap out of me.
I was going to ask you, what did you think of the fairing layout on the Street Glide?
The fairing on the Street Glide was very basic. I don't know what else to say. It was very basic. And I mean, I don't need a lot of fancy crap. I don't care if it's got, computer screens and all this stuff. It's a motorcycle. But where they had the mirrors mounted on the fairing, they were useless. They were utterly useless. I was looking at my armpit the whole time, and I couldn't adjust them where I really needed them.
Well, and just to be fair, because we're going to get roasted in the comments, we know there's probably a mirror relocation kit for the Street Glide.
Absolutely. We have to talk about the bikes that we rode, though. You know what I mean? Like
I can only review what's in front of me.
I'm sure the Mustang 2, if you put enough money into it, was a phenomenal car. But if the only one I'd ever driven was a stock standard one from the factory, I have to tell you what I thought about that car. But yeah, those mirrors were utterly useless. The Indians are just in a normal spot. Like I think the mirrors on the handlebars is just the way to go.
Well,
I hate the turn signals, and I know that's so stupid. And
I agree.
I know
because
you got comments on your last video about this, but having the turn signals on both sides, and I know all the Harley guys are going to be like, you guys are just morons. You just get used to it. Why does not just having a toggle on one side? We were turning the left turn signal on the whole time.
Right.
Like
we're making a right, man. I know, but I
like,
keep
dude,
going.
Where's the thing? Like it doesn't switch. It's on the other side.
Well,
like,
I said this in the last video. You can get used to anything,
right.
But at the same time, I'm just thinking, I'm like, okay, I just don't understand it. Like, I don't see the point of it. Like, even on a car, your turn signals are used by
like
one
having
single stop.
your left hand turn signal,
Right.
and then your other one on the other side.
Exactly.
Of the wheel.
Like, I just don't.
I don't like the idea of having to think about something else. Like, I'm already like controlling the throttle and the brake with my right hand. Like, adding one more thing, I just don't want.
Well, and not just that, but like all the controls that are on the right side on like every other bike, especially like the Indians, like. Most of those controls are going to be used when I'm at speed, where I don't need to focus on
like cruise
throttle.
control and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not that big of a deal. I did not like that at all.
I'm glad they were self-canceling.
Yes,
so I didn't have to think
both
about
bikes self-canceling. That was wonderful. That's something you kind of miss when you get onto a bike that doesn't have self-canceling turn signals, and you blink a lot and you don't realize it.
I ride around with my turn. I've had 3 times where a car has pulled out in front of me, and I'm like, hey! And then I realize, oh, my turn signal's on, so you thought I was turning.
But the Indians and the Harleys both self-canceling, so no issues there. It's been called gimmicky by a lot of reviewers, but I'm sorry.
The power windshield.
The power windshield is one of the greatest.
Why does not every single manufacturer do this?
I said this in my last video. I will not be surprised if Harley pulls an Apple and they try to put a power windscreen on their bike at some point,
everybody does it.
And then they're like, well, yeah, for the first time ever, a power windscreen. Like,
we did it better.
Indians been doing that for a while.
We did it better. It's like, well, you might have done it better. Cool. And hopefully that'll make Indian.
But that was the thing, though. Like, I got so much more buffering off of the Harleys than I did on the Indian.
I noticed a lot more buffeting on my helmet on the Harley Davidson.
But I couldn't adjust the windscreen.
You can't adjust the windscreen.
So
now
a taller windscreen would probably fix that. But once again, that's another thing, and now I have to buy.
Right. With the Chieftain, I do want the first one I test rode had the extended 13-inch windscreen on it. So when it was down all the way, it was still higher than the stock one.
Right.
So I would have to do that because that was way better than the other one I rode, which was stock.
I'm just saying, like, my biggest thing is, though, you can ride that bike home and it not be a big deal.
Yeah.
Whereas with the Harley, it's like,
I feel
man, like at 65 mile an hour, I'm getting some pretty heavy buffering off.
I feel like I would have to put $3,000 into the Harley Davidson.
I would say you're probably accurate.
Before I could even drive it off.
You
the
figure
lot
the seat alone is going to cost you $400 to $600.
The seat, I'd have to replace the seat. I'd have to get the extended forward controls
and
I'd
everything
have to get some highway
entails
pegs,
with that,
handlebars. Fix those mirrors because God, why Harley Davidson? Why do you put the mirrors on the fairing?
You know what's funny about it when you look at the Ultra with
they're on the handlebars.
They're on the handlebars.
They're on the handlebars,
which is kind of funny because it's basically the same thing.
Yeah. One thing he didn't mention in his last video that I thought about, and he should have brought it up, the fact that the Road Glides cubbies in the fairing don't latch is weird. Now, they didn't pop up. They didn't move.
No, it's weird because they almost use like a gravity.
It was like a
style.
It was like a gas strut that kept them closed. But that stuff wears out. So I would be afraid on that bike after 5 years. Maybe those things would just be flopping around.
And I could be wrong. There might be guys with Road Glides like, dude, I've had my bike for like 9 years.
And fair enough. If you do, comment.
I just thought it was kind of odd.
Yeah.
It was just kind of an odd thing. Whereas the Indians actually did latch.
They latch. Like it's a push latch. And that makes more sense to me. I don't know. That was weird.
I mean, my biggest problem with it was, though, like if I'm going to grab something, I almost got to use like 2 hands to hold up. Like one, because it wants to constantly fall down.
It wants to fall down. Yeah.
So
it's almost like the opposite. The Indians, once you release it, it pushes itself up.
Yeah, exactly. But it actually latches. So that was that's a good point. I forgot all about that.
Now, granted, I didn't ride the Road Glide or the Challenger, so I don't know.
No, but you're right. You're absolutely right. I made a comment about that when we got back from the ride off the Harley. It's just kind of a weird thing.
Yeah. I remember you asking the sales guy, "Do these not latch?" He's like, "No, they just gravity holds them down." It's like, okay, that's fine. Again, when they're brand new, like that bike was, they worked perfectly. But after a few years, I mean, you buy a truck cap or something. After a few years, those hinges start to let go.
Another thing, I think we both were, once again, it wasn't that it had to be a thing, but it just kind of nice that it was the fact I like the electronic locking bags on the Indian, whereas the Harley has the key lock.
That's a thing that, like, I wouldn't not buy a bike that didn't have it, but if I bought the Indian that did have it, it's nice.
But it's nice to have.
You've got the button on the gas tank, plus you've got a key fob that has the lock. And if you once you walk away from the bike, once the key is so far away, it'll lock it by itself. That's cool. So if you forget to lock your saddlebags,
I think the actual latching system where the Harley was on the inside there with a little lip. To let it was kind of what I mean. Not that it was bad, but we're obviously nitpicking here.
Right. Yeah.
But like
we have to, because there's not enough bad to say about the Harley Davidson. We kind of have to nitpick just to even make the video. I said, I don't want anyone to think that I'm bad mouthing Harley, because it's a gorgeous.
I can tell you right now, from the factory, the Harley sounded better.
The Harley sounds better from the factory.
However, I like the way the Indian sounds different, and I like
it's different.
I don't want it to sound like Harley.
It has its own thing. I think you nailed it on the head. The fit and finish on the Harley Davidson is better. It's just better.
I don't think, man. See, and that's the thing. I think it is better. I definitely think it is better.
But
I don't think it's light years
better.
I don't think it's light years better. Like I said, I think it's about the 5 to 10% better.
Yeah.
There are just little things I saw. I'm like, okay, that looks more polished. But once again, both the Street Glide and the Road Glide, these bikes have been around
forever
for a long time.
For a long time, yeah.
So I mean, they've kind of been able to polish this to the point where it's basically almost at perfection.
The Chieftain has been around longer than the Challenger, but the Chieftain, as it sits right now,
and they just updated
is only 2 years old.
Yeah. So I'll tell you another one that is important to you, like big time, and that was the fact that the Indians come with LEDs all the way around, except for the headlights from the factory, whereas the Harley doesn't.
Again, another petty thing that's like, oh, big effing. Whatever, but I'm sorry. It's a $30,000 motorcycle. Can't you give me some LED lights?
The Indians' LEDs are stupid bright.
Stupid bright.
Whereas the incandescents look like incandescents.
It's like, Harley has that Daymaker headlight, which is awesome, but it's also what, $600 or $800. It's insanely expensive.
Yeah.
And again, if I'm putting 30 grand into a bike, I don't want to have to take it home and start tinkering the same day.
Right.
It's like the salesman told me at Harley Davidson, and again, they were so nice about everything.
Right.
It's like they've got the tall boy seat and the extended controls and everything, but it's like, but dude, for less money, I could go down to the Indian dealer and buy a bike that fits me perfectly out of the box, and I just kind of feel better about that. Now, granted, ordering times right now, no one has the bike I want in stock. It's like 2 months.
Yeah.
And Harley Davidson had a bike.
Well,
they didn't have exactly what I wanted.
But they even said, though, that you can't even just go in and order.
You can't order one. They said whatever Harley sends them is what they get.
Whatever, like Harley sends them an email saying, hey, you're getting a red and black Road Glide special this week, and that's what you're getting. Like, they didn't put that order in. That's just what they're getting.
With Indian, you can go in and put a deposit down and order whatever you want. It's just going to take.
I mean, like I said, they've said 6 to 8 weeks or 12 weeks, but I've seen some guys that have been waiting almost 4 or 5 months. So I mean, but that's
everything
right now.
You can go buy a couch from Lazy Boy right now.
I remember my first month in 2021. You know what I mean? Like that's just how it is. But like I said, a lot of the stuff is gimmicky, but a lot of the other stuff. I mean, I guess here's my biggest. And I mentioned this in the last video. I think my biggest thing was the fact that we were holding the Harleys up on this pedestal, and at the end of the ride, it was just like, I don't know. I felt like a never meet your hero situation.
Yeah, I was let down for sure. Like, and again, it wasn't a bad experience.
No.
If we're talking the Indian was like a 10 out of 10, the Harley was like a solid 8.5. I mean, it was how I felt when I went and watched Prometheus. I went in with this, like, I had expectations up here, and the movie flew in about here.
Right.
So I was disappointed, but not by a lot.
Like I said, guys, I'm not against people buying a Harley. I completely understand why somebody would want one.
Absolutely. I know so many people that own Harley Davidson.
But I'm gonna challenge some of the Harley guys, like, because I mean, let's face it, guys. Like, I know most of the guys that I know that ride have Harleys. Mm-hmm. They're all good guys. They don't care what you ride as long as you're riding.
Right.
But you do have those Harley fanboys. But here's my thing, like, go and ride an Indian. Just
ride
try it out.
Yeah.
I mean, so I know I've watched a bunch of reviews to see where my thoughts lined up, and it's kind of funny because it's 50-50. Certain guys are like, oh my God, like the Harley's just so much superior, and I think those are probably those Harley fanboys. But I mean, no offense to Harley, but
some
I think
guys
Indian,
like Ford, some guys like Chevy, and there's reasons for both things. I get it. I'm glad they both exist.
competition's
I'm
good.
glad that Harley Davidson exists, and I'm glad that Indian finally, has kind of gotten their act together. I feel,
Yeah.
because competition's a good thing. Good competition breeds better products.
Right.
But seriously, go and ride one. Like, we went down to that demo ride in West Virginia, and there was 3 guys there that I think 2 of them had just bought brand new Harley Davidsons.
Yeah,
this
and they
summer,
were like really upset.
and they were like, "Dad, that sucks because this Challenger or whatever is just a better bike."
The one guy really, yeah, he was looking at the Chieftain. And
Yeah.
he even said, he's like, I really wish I hadn't bought the
Wish
Street
I would
Glide
have. I wish I would have rode this bike before I bought my
You
brand
know,
new Street Glide.
So, anyway, guys, I don't really
Yeah,
have much else to
that's
say
it. I mean,
about
this
it,
is
guys.
just
I
a
mean,
little-
this is another one of those videos where it's kind of like our thoughts put down just on video. Once again, I wanted to get Ryan, because I made a lot of comparisons of what Ryan was thinking with the Street Glide, and I'm like, you know what, dude, let's just shoot a video us talking about it. And yeah, I think that's pretty much covers everything. I can't think of anything else really that.
I will just say this: if you're a tall guy with long legs, go sit on a Chieftain, because I promise you're gonna fit on it better than you do the Street Glide. Stock,
Right.
just
Stock
completely
for stock.
Even with the stock handlebars way down lower, still more. It's just a more comfortable ride. Like you said, I prefer the mid-rise. They're not the crazy ape hangers, but like the mid-rise bars put my arms almost completely level, and it was comfortable. I would say just at least go sit on one. I mean, what do you got to lose to go sit on
Like
one?
I said,
right?
I definitely think we're pretty positive these are going to be our next bikes that we purchase.
Him much more, soon than me.
Until I actually get one, and then he's going to be like, damn, now I got to go get
Yeah,
one.
now I gotta go spend $30,000 going. Well, I guess
But
I could sell my F-150.
But anyway, guys, like I said, I just wanted to bring you another video. You know me, whenever I think of these, I bring them to you guys. If you have any questions, if you think, hey, these guys are full of crap, hey, you know what, they missed the mark, leave a comment, man. Like I said, I try to get back to everybody in the comments. And, if this video helps anybody, I appreciate it. Give that video a thumbs up if you guys would. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. And I'll see you next video, guys.